Hi, this is Daryl Meyer from Keller, Texas. Today is Tuesday, November 2nd, 2010. It's Election Day. I hope you get out and you vote to make your voice heard. I know I've heard from a lot of you saying, voting is just participating in part of the world system and you're actually helping to advance the kingdom of Satan when you vote. And I don't know about all that, but I do know that God appoints government leaders. It says so in the Bible. I know that Hitler, Nero, every other global leader that was evil as the devil himself was appointed by God. They were there for a reason. Just like our current president is there for a reason, whether you like him or not, whether you voted for him or not, he's there for a reason. I just want to present, though, something Jesus said in Matthew 12, verse 25. It starts off saying, Jesus knew their thoughts. First of all, Jesus knew their thoughts, and said to them, every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined. Every kingdom divided against itself. Let's see, Democrats, Republicans, divided against itself. Because you know what? They don't vote for each other's stuff just because they thought of it and this one didn't. Even if it's a good thing. So we stand at a point in American history where we're very divided against ourselves. How are we going to stand? We need to unite. There's a great way we can unite. Let's put God back in everything. Look where our country has gone with them trying to take God off the courthouse steps, out of the schools, prayers out of schools. Yeah, look where that's led us. Trying to take in God we trust off our money. Trying to take God out of things. Guess what? No matter how hard you try, you cannot take God out of anything because He's in everything. So, here is my hope and prayer that this country will turn to 2 Chronicles 7, verse 14, where it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. If our land has ever been in need of healing, it's right now, people. So I urge you, get out and vote. Hopefully we can clean house a little bit, and there's just a few people I'd like to see not be in the same position they're in right now, like Nancy Pelosi. Not going to mention any names. Okay, let's move on. This first story I'm going to talk about is out of Arutsheva. It says the GOP surge expected to weaken Obama's support of Palestinian demands. An expected drubbing of the Democratic Party by the GOP Tuesday probably will weaken PA demands and strengthen Israel, foreign analysts say. By all accounts, the Republican Party is likely to win a majority in the House of Representatives and whittle the Democrat Senate majority to a whisker. The midterm elections are being fought primarily on domestic issues, especially the economy and Obamacare. Nobody needs Obamacare. I've read through some of that nonsense, and that's the worst thing I've ever seen. It says Israel is a big factor in several local campaigns, but the overall anticipated Republican sweep is likely to result in a Congress that is not likely to put heavy pressure and more likely to give knee-jerk support on all kinds of other issues, strategic analyst Yossi Alfer told the French news agency AFP. Netanyahu will probably think he's in a stronger position, Middle East specialist and former U.S. official Robert Danin told a major California newspaper. The Palestinian Authority has been assuming that once elections are out of the way, U.S. President Barack Obama will feel freer to pressure Israel, but PA negotiator Nabil Shaath recently admitted that if the Democratic Party is trounced, President Obama's leverage on foreign policy will be reduced. So, people all over the world are watching these elections today, and it will matter. It will matter. Here's a very interesting story I found in the Jerusalem Post. It says Zionist Christians might be from Israel's 10 lost tribes. I know, I read that and I was like, really? This goes on to say, after nearly 2 millennia of animosity and distrust, we see large numbers of Christians loving Jews. We are witnessing an amazing turn of events in Jewish-Christian history. After nearly 2 millennia of animosity and distrust, we see large numbers of Christians loving Jews. and Jews worldwide are responding and appreciating Christians for their friendship and strong support of Israel. Perhaps no greater evidence of this new congeniality is the very magazine I've read this from the Jerusalem Post, dedicated to Christian lovers of Zion. Now, Zion, of course, is Jerusalem, as the Bible is clear. It says, this new mutual warmth has caused many Jews and Christians to remark that we have more in common with each other in spite of our different beliefs regarding Jesus than we do with many of our co-religionists. For as we are far removed from our Jimmy Carters and Reverend Wrights as the Jewish Zionists are from their Noam Chomskys and Richard Goldstones. Anyway, I thought this was very interesting. It said, the swiftness of the change has also caused many within the Christian Zionist movement to wonder if there's more going on here. Is our sudden passionate defense of Israel being driven by something deeper than just our common biblical heritage? Could we actually be witnessing the fulfillment of the most prophesied event in the Bible, the reunion of the house of Israel with the house of Judah? More to the point, could we Christians be actual descendants of the missing 10 tribes of the house of Israel, captured by Assyria and scattered among the nations in 722 BC? More and more Christians and even some Jews have come to this startling conclusion. Okay, let's read some of this. In Ezekiel, given the vision of a valley covered with dry bones, he asked an angel, Son of man, can these bones live? When he could not answer, the angel told him to command the Holy Spirit to breathe on these slain that they might come to life. This is Ezekiel 37, 1 through 14. And when they came to life, he said, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Now also in Ezekiel 37, 22 and 24, talks about this powerful vision that was followed by a command from the Lord to join 2 sticks together, re-emphasizing the reunion of Judah and Israel. And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel, and one king will be king for all of them, and they will no longer be 2 nations, and no longer be divided into 2 kingdoms. My servant David will be king over them, and they will all have one shepherd. Talking about Jesus. But for those that are a little hazy on their biblical history, let me back it up a bit. The breakup of the United Kingdom of Israel into the 2 nations is told in 1 Kings 11 and 12, where we read about God's judgment on the house of David following the reign of Solomon. God had warned Solomon to repent of his idolatrous ways, but the king ignored God's command, and 10 of the 12 tribes were ripped away to become a separate nation known as the house of Israel, often called Ephraim, after its largest tribe. The 2 remaining tribes, Judah and Benjamin, formed the southern kingdom and became known as the house of Judah. Both continued as separate kingdoms for another 200 years, and they actually went to war with each other a few times. Eventually God's judgment fell again, but only on the northern kingdom. Okay, and then in Hosea, it seems God declared the northern kingdom to be not his people. Okay, let's see where that's located. I'm sorry, I'm missing my place here. But in Ephesians 2:12 it says, as Gentiles they were now excluded from the commonwealth of Israel, strangers to the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in this world. So then God's judgment caught up with Judah about 100 years later, when she was exiled to Babylon for 70 years. And that's some of the first places where the people were called Jews. Anyway, if you read also, in Galatians, sorry, I'm all over the place today. My notes are just so scattered. But in Galatians 3:29, it says that, and if you are Christ, then you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Okay, so that, Paul told us that. And in Jeremiah 31, verse 31 and 32, and also Hebrews 8 through 13, it says, but this is the covenant which I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares the Lord. I will put my law within them and on their heart, and I will write, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Behold, days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. My covenant which they broke, although I was a husband to them, declares the Lord. Okay, now listen, I am not talking about replacement theology here. I do not believe in replacement theology. That's not in the Bible. That's out of the hearts of men, and it's not true, and it's wicked, and it's a heresy, and should never be taught. Sorry. Let's see. In Ephesians 2:13 through 15, it says, to the believers in Ephesus, he writes, that you who formerly were far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ, that in himself he might make the two into one new man. It sounds like the two joint sticks of Ezekiel also. This was a very interesting read. I had to go through my Bible and look up these verses this guy refers to. I recommend you read this. This was, again, in Jerusalem Post, written by Brian Hennessy. The title is Zionist Christians Might Be from Israel's 10 Lost Tribes. Again, though, please don't get me wrong. I do not teach replacement theology. God makes a covenant with the Jews, the house of Israel. He makes it forever. He doesn't change. He doesn't say, well, since you broke it, I'm not going to keep it either. That covenant he made with them is forever. You can read about the covenant with Abraham in Genesis, when he said, get out of this country from your family, from your father's house, to a land I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I'll bless you, make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I shall bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Anyway, I could do a whole video on replacement theology, so don't get me started. This next story out of IsraelToday.com. Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister says this is no peace process. I like this guy. Israeli Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon is a member of the Israel Betinu, or Israel Our Home political party, which has made a name for itself by bluntly describing things as they are instead of doing the diplomatic dance their coalition partners are so adept at. In particular, anyway, let me skip down to this. Ayalon's a former ambassador to the U.S., second in command to Avigdor Lieberman in both the party and the foreign ministry, but he is very outspoken. He has said they tried to take us on militarily, and they couldn't, then economically, and then with terror, talking about the Palestinians. Now the battlefront is political and legal warfare. We have to understand we're facing a very dedicated enemy. He's saying this is no peace process. This is just their way of trying to wipe Israel out. And they don't want peace. They want Israel to disappear. I'm not going to read that whole story because I've got some Bible study I want to do. Here's something also out of Yahoo.com. Palestinian Prime Minister stakes claim to East Jerusalem. This out of the West Bank Today. Palestinian Prime Minister Salam Fayyad today staked a claim to Israeli-controlled East Jerusalem, announcing that his government quietly helped fund the renovation of 14 schools in what the Palestinians hope will be their capital. Oh, these people. They're driving me nuts. Anyway, let's get into the Word. Been talking about the cross. I'm going to be talking about the cross for probably quite some time. Hebrews 2:14 through 15 says that through death he might destroy him who had the power of death, that is, the devil. Now, we've seen how God had pronounced a particular judgment against Satan in the Garden of Eden for his role in encouraging Adam and Eve to bring the curse of sin upon them. The Lord promised punishment. One day there would be someone who would rise up and crush his head. This promised punishment took place on the cross. I know you're saying, wait a second, didn't Jesus do all this suffering and dying that day? Well, physically, yes. But spiritually, however, something was happening on the cross that dealt the devil a death blow, okay, that he would never recover from. Satan's power and authority was stripped away from him. Now, how's that, you say? I have to hurry. When man sinned, he essentially sold himself into spiritual slavery, and Satan was able to exercise authority over us. And he took full advantage of this by dragging us further and further into sin. So without a connection to his Creator, mankind was forced into an existence of helplessness and bound under the devil's domination. But the cross changed all that. It destroyed Satan's power over mankind because it provided a way for us to be reconciled and reunited with God. Jesus' death regained what we forfeited in the Garden of Eden, and in the process, Satan and his followers were defeated and disarmed. And eventually Satan's sentence will be fully served as he's cast into the lake of fire. You can read about in Revelation 20, verse 10. God bless you. Go vote. Love you. Bye-bye.